What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. It is Tuesday, May 22nd, and I am here with the one and only Adam Carlson. How you doing, sir?
I'm here this week. I made it, and I'm alive, and I'm having a good time and everything like that. And again, I decided not to turn the light on before we got started, so it might get a little dark around me while we are recording, but what can you do?
That's all right. Yeah, we tried to get it. I purposely asked if Adam could do the show earlier today because the last couple of shows we've been doing them pretty late, so maybe we could have more people in there. I know there's already some people in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's up to everybody.
Got Will Dog and Lee Sattler in here so far chatting. It shows the number of people watching is a lot larger than the number of people chatting, so hopefully that'll change a little bit here as we go.
Not going to lie, it's going to be a rather slow week, but we're going to get some crowd involvement here in the chat. And you guys said it last week. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to have a random fun fact as we start every show. And Adam might know this because he likes to have bits and pieces of random knowledge. But did you know that Coca-Cola would be green if they didn't add food coloring?
I'd probably still drink it.
I would. That would just throw off everything that I've ever known about Coke. But
then again, I've always been a Coke person, not a Pepsi person. I find I can just drink Pepsi way too fast.
All right, I'm stealing it from the Levitard show. In the chat, tell us Pepsi or Coke. Why? Let's go. Want to know what you guys like. I'm a Pepsi person because they make Mountain Dew and I have to stay loyal. But you know what I found out down here in El Paso when I go out to eat? If there's fountain Coke, there's really not a lot that I can complain about on there.
No.
I like a good fountain Coke. I'm not too biased.
No. I'm not too much of a soft drink snub. Then again, water's usually my jam.
Yeah, I got to drink more of that. Apparently, it's good for you.
That's what I keep hearing.
We'll run right into it, though. This is episode number 303 called Rhodes House, which is fantastic.
Roadhouse.
Yep. That's a multi-reference in there. Multi-reference. I'm more of on the Family Guy side just because it's hilarious, but good reference there.
You could be on the Swayze side if you wanted, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That handsome devil.
It's always good when things come up Swayze.
Let's dive right in. Jacksonville is going to practice with us in August. So we're going to have one of those joint practice deals. I'm really excited for this because the Jaguars mirrored us as for last year. They were right before us in the draft as well. They're the third best team in the AFC, second best. And man, they're fantastic. Their defense is great. I'm not too big on their quarterback, but it's going to be good. You want high competition to practice against to kind of gauge where you're at. So it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Two top defenses in the NFL going against each other. I believe it's going to be two practices, and it's going to happen around the time of their preseason game. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Jacksonville is set to make a lot of noise again this year. So Minnesota's in the same boat. Two real contenders that should help just sharpen each other's blades as they go head-to-head a little bit. And it's not like these practices are going to be so super hardcore or anything, but any chance you can get to face off against some other kind of competition can only be good, unless you are a member of the Kansas City Chiefs the last time the Vikings held a joint practice, and you were the guy that Brock Lesnar suplexed.
I would never. Actually, you know what? I'd let him do it. Just to say I could. Just to say for one time, man, Brock Lesnar's gigantic self threw me across somewhere and made me hurt a lot for a couple of days.
It is weird to think that all the way back that long ago is when the last joint practice was, that Brock Lesnar was on the team's squad, for the preseason and training camp. That's so weird.
That's insane. There's been a couple of guys, too, on random other teams, especially for you pro wrestlers, for all you pro wrestling fans. Because you guys brought it on. You guys brought it to my attention here, you and Kyle and Dorian, because you're big wrestling fans, just to see who's played where. I know Goldberg did a stint with Atlanta, and it was crazy, man. There's been a couple of those guys sprinkled around.
Well, in the chat, we do have Will Dog taking Coke over Pepsi, but he likes Pepsi's products better, like the product line. I get that. Scott Schwab says Pepsi if with Snickers, Coke if with pizza. So basically he's using it as a compliment, red wine, white wine, what goes with fish, who knows.
That's awesome.
And Lee Sattler says just water all day. But getting back to the practices, Lee Sattler says it should be great practice for our offense because it should help the new offense gel, and I completely agree with that. Going against your own people in practice is one thing, but going against, different faces, different techniques can be a real game changer. So I'm honestly really looking forward to this. I think it's a nice addition to the preseason to add a little bit of extra experience. But again, there's also the, worry about player injury and things like that, or player egos getting shattered or whatever. I'm not so worried about that. I don't think the Vikings have a ton of those ego players that are going to kind of get crushed in with, it's practice, but I'm still have to dominate these guys. I don't think we're going to fall into that. Oh, we do have a great question in the chat though right now.
Let's do it.
Will Dog wants to know, where's Kyle?
Where is Kyle? He is the Waldo of this episode right now.
What we were going to do is we were going to print out a picture of Kyle, hold it up into a mocking voice every time. And be like, well, I think this is Randy Moss, hold up a picture. And
and somehow it comes back to super sarcastic comment, and then we're going to talk about Randy Moss at the very end because we love you, Kyle. That's why.
Kyle's actually off working on another podcast this week. He's cheating on us a little bit, but right now they're trying to make sure that their podcast gets off the ground and has a really good reception. So I wish him nothing but the best over at his other podcast, but I assume will be back in the future. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I do assume that he will be back.
He'll be back. He always adds a good flair to the show, and we're happy to see him do some other stuff too. Like Adam does the Viking Age and Undead Walking, and I've got my band, and Kyle does Shut Up I Like This, which is awesome. So we're all doing other stuff. Sometimes it jumps around, but that's why we have three of us. This is why I was glad to become an addition so long ago, because now we can really keep this train rolling no matter what through every week.
And Scott says Kyle's probably taking pictures of random stuff, and yeah, he does that too.
And he'll put them on a pillow for you and sell them to you.
Where's the star of the show? Dorian couldn't make it either. He would have been available tomorrow, but no, sadly, no Dorian today.
The star of the show, if you're referring to my dog, it's super hot in El Paso. It's like 95 degrees, and he's been outside chilling on the patio all day. So he is currently this way at the beginning of my apartment. There's some tile floor and an air conditioner right there. So he's cooling off right now.
Yeah, you don't want a hot dog.
Sometimes I want a hot dog, but I don't want this particular hot dog. It's not my flavor. So there's going to be a lot of Xavier Rhodes on this show today.
Yeah.
Prepare yourselves. If you're not a fan of Xavier Rhodes, this is not going to be the episode for you. But I think most of us, if you're a Viking fan, you're pretty happy to have that guy and talk about him. So the first thing we're going to talk about with him is Xavier Rhodes challenges Telvin Smith to a race. I found this kind of interesting because I believe he's a linebacker. So yes. I think Xavier obviously knows he's probably going to be faster than him. It'd be different if he challenged Patrick Peterson or somebody like that. But I'm down to watch anybody compete. So,
and it's fun to see the two former college teammates want to go head to head, play around a little bit of practice, have a little bit of fun. I just thought it was kind of fun too.
Absolutely. I remember the first thing that comes to mind is when Adrian Peterson was coming back on his comeback tour, and he was racing Percy Harvin, who was lightning fast, and he was actually neck and neck with him running up the hill, right before we started the season. I was like, this is insane. So it'd be cool to see. I forgot that Telvin Smith was a former college teammate of his. So that makes a lot of sense. I was like, that's a random challenge.
Yeah, there's a video of them FaceTime each other talking a little bit of smack. And I think that's kind of cool too, to get an inside look a little bit at some of that, because mostly fans don't get a look at what players do outside of the field, outside of press conferences, things like that. So to see two players interact like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see this happen. I love the competition and the jawing back and forth. It's all in good fun. I mean, it's the most macho sport you can think of out there besides hockey. So they're going to be talking a lot of smack all the time. So I'm down. And if Xavier does do it, we'll try to help you get an update on that as soon as it happens. Hopefully it'll happen soon.
Oh, yeah, I'm fully expecting. Well, actually, their combine times were less than a tenth of a second apart, so it'll be interesting.
Wow, okay. Maybe that's changed. We shall see. James Jones says Xavier Rhodes is the best cornerback in the NFL. That's pretty bold statement. I don't know. I don't want to dog on the guy. I don't know if he's the absolute best, but when you think of top corners in the NFL, I don't really think of shutdowns anymore, but if you're looking for a shutdown type, he definitely comes to mind.
I thought this was interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was the top 10 cornerbacks entering the 2018 season, and to have Xavier Rhodes number one shows a ton of respect for what he's been able to do and accomplish. especially considering how when he entered the league, he struggled so much with, the physicality of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And to see that all come full circle and him become one of the best players in the league is amazing to see. And second of all, to have it coming from James Jones, former Packers wide receiver that went head-to-head against him every once in a while, now NFL.com analyst. It shows a lot of respect on that front, too, that when he went against the Vikings, he saw Xavier Rhodes as that top level of competition, which can say a lot about the Vikings defense as well.
Made me think back to the days where we had that problem with Xavier where it was always the PI calls.
Oh, yeah.
Just so handsy. And Mike Zimmer, God bless him for being so patient, seeing what he could have been and what he was eventually going to be. Man, he's really came into his own. I think the only really knock on him, then we'll talk about him a little bit more later, is just sometimes he gets nicked up and he has to come out of games. But for the long-term and longevity, he's been pretty good.
Yeah, Lou Sattler in the chat says another Zimmer brainchild, and Zimmer is the cornerback whisperer. He's been able to get some really good stuff out of players that might have struggled under different leadership. So I love what Zimmer can do, the way he organizes defenses, puts players in positions where he thinks they can excel. It's just what a coach should do, and sadly, those kind of things don't happen in the NFL enough.
Isn't that crazy, too, when we think back into just 2 coaches ago, like the Brad Childress era or the Leslie Frazier era, where Leslie kind of ran a scheme and, hey, we're going to run this and that's it. Or kind of the same concept as, I don't care if you're really good at this. This is how we run my defense, and we're not going to go to your skills. That seems very counterproductive, but I'm not an NFL coach. Just thinking back to seeing how good Mike Zimmer is, and he can plug and play people to make them excel at what they're very good at, which is crazy. But
ever since the Anthony Barr pick, I've stopped questioning his selection of defensive players for the most part. I mean, I did not see how he would fit in the defense. I was like, well, he's a tweener kind of. I don't see him as a defensive end. I don't see him as a linebacker. I think he's going to go to a 4-3 team or a 3-4 team, where he can be an outside linebacker there and mostly rush the passer. And he's come in and been a Pro Bowl, All-Pro kind of player. I don't think he has an All-Pro yet, but he's definitely made Pro Bowls.
Yeah, just trusting that Zimmer process, like the shirt says, "In Zim we trust." Yeah. I hope he's going to be here for a long time. I'm hoping he can do the same thing with Mike Hughes that he did with Xavier Rhodes too. That'd be fantastic.
I'm seeing the progress with Mackenzie Alexander. We've seen Trey Waynes come miles already, but he's got even more he's going to learn over the years. I'm excited to see all these guys grow and develop.
Speaking of Xavier Rhodes, and this we're going to talk about this a little bit later as well. NFL Network does the top 100 players. They've been doing it for probably 7-8 years now.
Yeah,
and Xavier Rhodes has hit his highest spot so far, number 55 on the list. And I know one of your counterparts over at the Viking Age said that he felt like this was kind of disrespectful that he was so low on the list. And I'm thinking to myself, if you think about how many positions are on a team and multiply it by 32, I think this is a pretty big honor for him.
I absolutely agree. I see this as a fantastic respect for him to be ranked among the best players in the league. I did see that Stefon Diggs commented on it when the Vikings posted like what the heck, I was lower, what the hell, and I think that's fun among teammates too. But as far as Xavier Rhodes goes, I have no issue with where he is placed because it's based on the voting of players. So the fact that if he's number 55 on the list, that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think there's going to be a corner ahead of him, maybe 2, which is fine.
Yeah. This
list kind of, I'm not knocking this position on the list for what I'm about to say, but we all know, like, J.J. Watt made the list and he didn't play last year.
Right.
I get the respect that you have for a person, but my personal beef, and we've said it before years past in the show, is don't give someone a spot on this list that they didn't play. It doesn't mean they're not a great player, but you can't call them like the 55th best player of that particular season if they didn't play at all. That makes zero sense to me. But
I think that's weird because they dance around that by doing the top 100 players of the coming year.
Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know how. I don't know how they go about it because they call it of 2018 because the season technically is in there. But when they do the sit down and they ask them, "Oh, who do you think it was?" and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember watching the Adrian Peterson one forever." I watched that video so many times. Like, yeah, the best player in the league this year was Adrian Peterson. Like, well, wait, hold on. You mean last year that just happened? Or
right.
So it's weird to have that on the list. But back to Xavier Rhodes. I only think there was only like 2 or 3 games where, he got picked on a lot because usually people don't even throw his direction. He has a very good contested catch rate. He's got a lot of pass breakups. He's got a lot of interceptions in a short time. Yeah, he had a couple of games where they exposed him or it just wasn't his game. But overall, I would think 9 out of 10 times, say a good solid 90% of the time, if you need him to shut someone down, there's a number one that needs to be shut down. He's going to be shut down. You see the likes of Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, they're getting 20, 30 yards and no touchdowns. I mean, you can't really ask for much more. So I'm really happy to see a Viking and the whole NFL giving a Viking some praise because right at 55, we haven't had anybody that high.
And we've had Kirk Cousins, Linval Joseph, Stefon Diggs so far on the list, right?
I smell an Adam Thielen and a Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith's got to be up there this year. He's got to.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like Anderson Dejo doesn't get enough love for what he does. But probably not top 100 list potential, but I always want to say he's better than people think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Moving on, Adam Carlson's cousin, Daniel Carlson, met Minnesota Vikings Hall of Fame kicker. Oh, gosh, I'm going to screw this one up. Jan?
You already screwed it up.
Han?
Jan
Stenerud?
He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer, man.
Holy crap. Nope. I'm going to butcher that one. You guys can annihilate me later. But he met him at TCO Performance Center. This is a cool bullet.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool to see the Vikings' potential future kicker. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to win the kicking job. I hate to do that against Kai Forbath because Kai Forbath has done some really good things in Minnesota, but he's also been inconsistent at times, especially on extra points. But I do believe that Daniel Carlson will walk out the winner of the kicking competition. And to see him and, Jan there talking in a photograph with the two next to each other, Jan's 6'2", and Daniel Carlson's 6'4", so they're both tall kickers.
I feel like I want to ask all the people in the chat, and they're like, oh, man, you got his name wrong. I'm like, where did he go to school? You guys tell me these things. Don't use Google either. I have no idea, and I have no problem admitting that. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. And back to your point, I love Kai Forbath because God knows anything is an improvement from what Blair Walsh was doing the last 8 months that he was with us. But, yeah, if you draft a kicker in the 5th round, he's going to be your starter. I mean, I don't know. That could have been my bold statement for the day right there, even though that's not what it is. But you got to go for it. You don't spend – I don't say a 5th pick is high, but for
you don't trade up with 2 6 to get a 5th round pick to draft a kicker and –
that's high as hell for a kicker.
To motivate another – no, you don't do that.
It's not as high as when the Bucs drafted one in the 2nd round, which was awesome.
Hey, yeah. At least Seabass paid off. He was a 1st rounder, wasn't he?
I don't even know who?
Seabass, Sebastian Janikowski.
Was he? Oh, God.
I want to say he was. I know that if you do draft a kicker early, they have to be considered a starter. I mean, you don't trade up. You
crap,
don't do
you're
that.
correct.
Yeah.
17th overall in 2000.
Absolutely.
Him and Tom Brady have to be the oldest players in the NFL, next to Terrence Newman.
Those 40. Kickers, man, they can kick forever.
That's true.
They really can. And the hope is that Daniel Carlson can become that kicker. So seeing him next to a Hall of Famer, I don't guess that there was a lot of advice giving going on or anything like that, but still seeing the past, the future together. And then they should have put like Kai Forbath between the two. It would have been kind of funny, but I don't think he would have thought it was as funny as I do.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
I would have got a kick out of it, though. a kick out of it.
I get it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Dry humor on a Tuesday here at the Purple People Podcast.
Can't get enough.
Kyle Rudolph and Ahmad Rashad are going to rep the Vikings at TCO Eagan grand opening celebration, and this is going to be Saturday, June 16th. So this is less than a month away. There's a lot of stuff I like in that sentence. First of all, June 16th is less than a month away. So the middle of the year is almost here, so we can get started and closer to football.
Yeah.
But this is a Vikings legend and a current Viking great. I mean, Kyle Rudolph's been a mainstay for years now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, when I saw those two names on there, I thought that's pretty cool. They're going to have autograph cards where people can line up, get an autograph from the players. There's going to be kids' games, activities, giveaways, stuff like that. So, yeah, if you're in the area, definitely check it out. I'm going to try to go and do the same because Kyle Rudolph is one of the Vikings that I haven't had a chance to meet yet. He does a lot of charity activities that usually are, I hate to say this because it makes me sound kind of bad, but they're a little out of my price range as far as attending them. That
is okay.
But, yeah, Kyle Rudolph is one I haven't met yet, so I'd really like to do that.
You haven't met Rudy yet. That's crazy. Yeah, you should definitely do that, man. Like we always say for all you guys in the chat, if you're close to the area and you get a cool picture or something like that, shoot it on over. We'll give you a shout out. Say, hey, look, man, I'm a big fan of the page, and I met this person here and I had a great time. Tell us about your experience too.
Yeah, when I met Ahmad Rashad, I told him that I loved him on NBA Inside Stuff. I watched that every time it was on. It was great. I admit that I didn't even know he was a Viking until probably. Oh, man. Like, my memory completely blocked it out that him and the guy from NBA Inside Stuff were the same guy.
Man, those guys look really similar.
It's like I know him as a Viking, and I knew the Inside Stuff guy, and it never clicked together for me. Dang things, I tell you. Brain works in mysterious ways.
Hyping up something for this next one here. This is pretty cool. I had a little bit extra to read on it. Stefon Diggs, we were talking about earlier, he's lower than Xavier Rhodes on the NFL Network top 100 players, but he logged in on a pretty cool list. Teddy Bridgewater has been on this list before, former Viking quarterback. 15th on the Pro Football Focus list of top 25 players under 25 years old.
This is the last year of eligibility for that list, but he finally made it.
This is by Brett Whitfield. This is only about 5 days ago, but I'll read you guys this cool little nugget here. It starts out not every player, but every 3 or 4 players, they'll put in a graphic with a stat or something. And it's contested catch rates with wide receivers of 20 plus contested targets last year. Stefon Diggs leads the way at 64% with the contested catch rate. Below him at 63.6. Sterling Shepard. Third is Demaryius Thomas. Michael Thomas is fourth, and Mohamed Sanu is 54% at number 5. So this is pretty insane. That's a damn good stat to have. That's one of the better stats to have.
It really is. And if you watch the season pretty closely, you saw that a lot of the throws that were made during the last season were not wide open catches. They weren't easy catches. They were either contested or sideline throws, not really your routine pitch and throw where a guy has 2 steps on a receiver or on a defender. It's just not the way that the season really worked out. But thanks to these Vikings receivers that have helped to make everything so much easier. I bet Kirk Cousins is going to look at these guys and be like, hey, I can throw almost anything.
I'm going to add one more note in here, even though this guy is currently not on our team anymore. This was a heartwarming thing and a cool story, and I wanted to throw this in here. So I'm going to throw a curveball at Adam and everyone in the chat. But since we were talking about rankings, our boy from last year, Case Keenum, came in at his first top 100 appearance at number 51 for his outstanding season last year. Case was absolutely amazing for us. I enjoyed him a lot just because of his heart. And he's pretty gritty, too. I think that was my favorite thing. And somebody pointed it out in the video because I watched it last night. And I wanted to add it in here. But he'll just stand in the pocket and take a beating if he has to. And he can scramble. So, hey, I know he's with Denver now, but we wish Case the best of luck. And that's pretty cool to see him finally get on there. This is an undrafted all-time NCAA record holder, undrafted, and he finally found a good system and finally showed, hey. And the best part of the video, if you guys haven't seen it, that when we played Atlanta last year on the road, Fran Tarkenton was there, and somebody asked, and that's how the video opens, hey, what do you think of the quarterback? He's like, oh, you're talking about Case? He's like, I think he's phenomenal. So he's getting high praise from, a Hall of Famer and a Vikings legend too. So it's pretty cool to see Case Keenum on there.
I thought it was crazy the number of times that Case Keenum should have been sacked, but somehow ducked or spun or, did something to get out of it.
That was the thing, after the season was over, after we let all the high from the Minneapolis Miracle and then the bitterness of the Philly game settle, you look back, and I know we said a lot about how the wide receivers bailed him out, but Case made a ton of plays last year, whether he scrambled to run to get the first down or whether he was just, like you said, he was shifty in the pocket. There's been plenty of times I see him step up or shift left or right in the pocket, and that's just being very aware of what's going on. So he's a good guy. We're going to miss him.
Not to mention some of the great throws he made, because let's not take anything away from his arm.
So we remember he opened up his first game was against the Steelers. Not the best and easiest way to open up, but the first home game we're playing the Bucks, and I remember the first throw. It's like a 50-yard pass. I was like, I didn't know Case Keenum could throw that far. I'd never seen anything like that before, and he comes out and throws 3 touchdowns in his home opener as a Viking. I'm like, okay, we can work with this. This is gonna be good. It's pretty good, man.
But we know Kirk can throw that.
Yeah, we do.
We do have a request in the chat from Scott Schwab to talk about something.
Let's hear it.
He wants us to discuss Michael Kendricks' release from the Eagles.
I knew somebody was going to bring this up today. The first thing I have to ask you is, do we have the money? Will we have the cap space? And do you risk the cap space of if someone goes down, you have to have an emergency signing? Because that would kind of contradict itself if you have to cut someone you just signed because someone better or more important or at a more important critical position goes. But if we have the cap space, why not? I don't think he's going to be around for long.
I don't think the Vikings have great depth at linebacker right now. I think he'd be a good fit for the team. That only question comes in with the salary cap because they are already asking, what's his name, Chedinsky? He's the Vikings financials guy.
I think that's the name.
Yeah, they're already asking him to do a lot with each dollar, so I don't know.
Hey, we talked about it amongst us in the personal chat between me, Kyle, Adam, and Dorian. We're talking about, we give Mike Zimmer all the credit because he deserves it. We love the Williams. We love Rick Spielman and what he does. But the guy who does our salary cap needs a holiday because he's figured it out time and time again. If we can figure him out, not only would it be the cool, Hallmark story of brothers playing together, but you got to think, that Philly defense was stupid good last year.
They really were.
Super Bowl winning team, and he's the starting linebacker for that team. This guy's not going to be in the market for very long. I wonder, though, why they let him go.
I'm not sure either. Adam Schefter said they didn't expect him to be on the market long either. So whatever team is going to make a move had better hurry up and make a move. Will Dog says it would be awesome to have the Kendricks brothers together, but I doubt it would happen. And I kind of agree that I'd like to see it, but I'm not going to expect it by any means.
Right. This would be one of those, I wouldn't say fantasy editions. He's not a super household name, but he is just a current Super Bowl champ on a great defensive team. It would be nice, but keep your hopes up high. Keep the expectations kind of low here. And
I go back and forth on trying to decide whether linebacker is a position in need for the Vikings. I know it is as far as depth, but with Ben Gedeon being a solid tackler and the Vikings not using a lot of linebackers really and adding an extra corner or defensive back, I'm not sure how much having that extra linebacker is going to really benefit.
That's a good point.
So I go back and forth on all that. I don't know.
I wouldn't be angry about it if we signed him, but then again, I don't expect it to happen. So we'll see what happens. But you said Scott asked for that in the chat. That's a good question, man. And that's current stuff. We didn't really throw in because he's not a Viking, but he could potentially be one, and his brother is one. So that was a good one, man. That was a good suggestion.
Yeah, definitely worth talking about.
So we're kind of running around today. I won't tell you that we're ill prepared because we're not. We have everything in order. My fearless leader here always keeps everything organized, but it's kind of a slow week. Nothing too crazy big to talk about. I wanted to mention for part of the main topic today was we talked about it earlier. Do you think Xavier Rhodes is too low down on the top 100 list? That also brings in another discussion. Do you think Stefon Diggs should be better or higher based off of he had a pretty good breakout year? But I think Xavier Rhodes is right where he should be.
Anytime you get a list that's either voted on by people or is one person's list, you're going to get answers all over the board. And I think you kind of got to take it all with a grain of salt. and just appreciate that these Vikings players are getting honored and recognized in these spots. I understand that everyone wants to see their Vikings players up higher. I'd love to see, the top 52 players be all Vikings players. That'd be amazing, but it's not realistic. I mean, I really love that these players are getting the recognition they deserve for the hard play on the field, excellent play they've had, recognition they've done. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand fans sometimes when they go for words like, he got disrespected or snubbed. And I love that Adam Patrick views things differently than I do over at the Viking Age. It gives us both really cool voices. But I do disagree with it being a snub.
Yeah, I think that if you're on the list in general, unless you're obviously the MVP of the league and they have you at like 20th, yeah, that would be kind of disrespectful because everyone voted you to be the most valuable player. But actually being on the list itself is an honor. To be almost right in the middle, even bigger honor. It's all opinion based too. Honestly, this list is for the players and by the players, and we've seen sometimes, time and time again, there's kind of like a blind loyalty to people. I mean, like I said earlier, JJ Watt's on the list. I have nothing against JJ Watt, but he didn't play last year. I don't know why he would be on the list. It is what it is. I think he's right where he should be.
Yeah, and you can look at other lists too. I mean, like the Pro Bowl. People have understood that the Pro Bowl, getting in the Pro Bowl doesn't mean
great example.
Are the best players.
Great example.
That's what that means, but that the players that get voted in have been given respect by the people that have done the voting.
Right.
So again, all pro, it's based on their merits, basically. Pro Football Focus teams are based on their grades. And otherwise, you got these lists that are based on opinion, and you can't get too wrapped up in what other people think about players, situations, plays, seasons, careers, whatever. I learned that pretty early on in my writing when I scrolled down to the comments section. Not everyone's going to agree with you, and that's okay.
Yeah, especially in this world where we could just click and we can say, whatever we want with nothing that's going to happen to us. Pretty much, it's got to kind of shake it off.
I'm still too sensitive for that. Someone starts trolling me, and I'll be strong at first, but I'll give them that's just your opinion, man, and then I'll try to move on.
That's just like your opinion, man. So I wanted to put this on here as well because we can kind of promote your site that you work for too, and this will lead into our social media question. So the other Adam for the Viking Age, Adam Patrick, posted this just about a day ago. It says Kirk Cousins is already impressing Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer. This made me really happy to read because this is where all eyes are going to be. We're not going to talk about Dalvin Cook coming back as much as we're going to talk about Mike Hughes, the corner, or Sheldon Richardson. I thought Sheldon Richardson was the most underrated signing of any team all season. But we're going to look at Kirk Cousins, and if he doesn't come in and just immediately blow everybody out of the water, there's going to be a microscope, correct? So the new Minnesota Vikings quarterback, he said, is already making a good impression. And this is what Mike Zimmer had to say about it. He said, I think it started when he had Diggs and Thielen go down to Atlanta in April and throw the ball. He's been very positive and upbeat the whole time he's been here. A lot of times leadership, if you do your job really good, you become a leader, and he's done it very well this spring. So that's encouraging to hear.
One of the most annoying things last year was committing to Sam Bradford at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we knew Sam Bradford probably wasn't coming back, you had Case Keenum and you had a rehabilitating Teddy Bridgewater. And the coaching staff would not commit to any of them.
Yeah.
I understand that they may have behind closed doors, but publicly it just didn't happen. You never heard Mike Zimmer saying, Case Keenum is our man going forward. We have our full faith in him to go out there and do what he can do and help this team achieve its ultimate goal. I do believe that we are going to get that kind of support behind Kirk Cousins, and I already see it kind of brewing a little bit there because, let's be honest, Mike Zimmer is not one known to throw praise around.
Correct. He will tell you, though, if you have big balls, and he'll tell you if he likes them or not.
That's true. It's very true. And I do believe that Cousins has that gunslinger mentality where he's got a set of brass ones.
Yeah, definitely. We can debate about Kirk Cousins all day long, the ins and outs of what happened in Washington, but I like him. And the best thing that I liked about him, besides the stuff about the leadership, he doesn't have any off-the-field issues, which is amazing. We don't have to worry about anything like that. He's usually going to say all the right things. He might not give you like a super hot take when talking to the media, but also, too, he's not really injury prone. Thank God. That's always been a curse and a Achilles heel here. So that's another positive as well. But I'm glad to hear that he's a leader and already reaching out to the two-headed monster that is Diggs and Thielen.
I'm going to promote something that isn't even mine here, but I think it's kind of cool. If you're a fan of Latavius Murray, head on over to his website, and he's got some of his shirts on sale for $10 each.
What? I got that email today and I deleted it. I didn't even look at it. Damn it.
So, yeah, if you're a big fan of Latavius Murray, check it out. We have Ollie Atkins joining us. He says better late than never. He also says that Mackenzie Alexander is going to have a breakout year. He's calling it, and I'm going to say that Mackenzie Alexander kind of broke out last year. I thought he had a fantastic year.
That's a solid point. I like that. I like bold predictions. I like bold predictions from you guys. It makes my life a whole lot easier.
See, Mackenzie Alexander, Trey Waynes, and Andrew Sendejo in that secondary just don't get enough love because they are doing what they can. You know, I think they do an admirable job considering Harrison Smith and Xavier Rhodes are out there and just wrecking havoc on their sides of the field wherever they are. And the other guys got to do everything they can to make sure nothing else happens. I
think of it like a ship, like an old wooden ship back in the day. Like, cool, we got the base. The D-line is set up. They're pretty solid, right? The seats are good in the middle where your linebackers are. And now we're just worried about getting this rain out of here. And you don't have to worry about it with Xavier Rhodes. There's not going to be any rain in his spot. But poor Trey Waynes and Mackenzie Alexander are like, damn it, we're overworking over here.
Right.
Everybody's just picking on us every game. But that's what happens. That's a great thing, too. You remember when Mackenzie Alexander came in, he was super – it rubbed people the wrong way. He was super cocky. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I want that out of my cornerbacks. And now that he's going to have an extended role with us, I mean, why not? Why not?
I was super excited to see Terrence Newman coming back for a year and to help these younger guys just grow and develop. I think it's going to be great for the rookie. It's going to be great for Mackenzie. It's going to be great for Trey. And there were even players that don't play in the secondary that were talking about his impact on the locker room and the practice field. So it's really awesome. We're getting more bold predictions in the chat, too.
Let's hear them.
Sergio Moreno says he's predicting the Vikings to retain as the #1 defense in the league this year.
Oh, man, that's going to be hard. I don't think that it's impossible, but I'll give you the rundown of what they've got to go through to keep #1. They got to go through Tom Brady in New England. Got to play Drew Brees again. That Aaron Rodgers guy twice. Matt Stafford's always been pretty good against us. And Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. So we got our work cut out for us, but I don't see us slipping off that much, man. The scheme's going to stay the same. We've added a couple of good pieces, and especially the Sheldon Richardson signing. You know what? Oh man, it's always overlooked. I think it's going to be just as good.
We got a multi-part question here too.
All right, let's hear it.
Habna says, "Do you think Mike Hughes is going to be an upgrade into our defensive backfield? If so, by how much? And could he be a steal?" I think it's hard to be a steal if you're a first-round pick.
Yeah, depending on if you're an Aaron Donald who went like 17th and now he might be the best whole player in the NFL, yeah, then it would be a steal. I don't know that Mike Hughes is going to be the #1 player in the NFL, but I'm with Adam on that. I don't know if he's going to be a steal for being in the first round, but here's what I think. I think this is Terrence Newman's last year because 40. I think he's going to jump right in as soon as he leaves, and then he's going to compete with Mackenzie. Hell, he might even compete with Trey Waynes. Who knows? But it's a good problem to have.
Here's where I'm at with Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes is going to come in and he's going to immediately win that nickel corner job. He's going to win that during camp in the preseason. This means that Mackenzie Alexander can go outside where he is much, much better suited as a player. He struggles to keep up with those speedier slot corners or the bigger tight ends. Mike Hughes, I believe, has the exact skill set to take care of what is necessary there. Not only does that fill a spot where Mackenzie Alexander wasn't really super comfortable, but now it moves him outside to a spot where he feels so much better. And in the meantime, you've got Terrence Newman, who's a very capable player, despite not being, the speedier player that he was several decades ago, I'll say. He still provides great depth and resources and knowledge and everything. The secondary is one spot where I have absolutely no questions right now, and I feel like is just going to be magnificent this year.
I like it. Do we have any other bold predictions in the chat? Anybody else churning around?
No, Arlene Atkins is talking about Terrence Newman being our ancient one, going for a Doctor Strange reference on that one. Lee Sattler sees Hughes as a great multi-tool for the defense, and you need that nickel corner to be a Swiss Army knife. He's going to be doing a lot of interesting stuff. He's got the speed and athleticism to break off and go after the quarterback if that's what's asked of him. He's got the physical ability to back up and play coverage if needed. I have very few questions about him, especially considering that a lot of people were so concerned about the off-field stuff, but like I said, the off-field stuff was nothing to me. Oh, there we go. There's a bold prediction. Hercules Mataafa will make the team.
I mean, I'm going to root for anybody that has the name Hercules Mataafa, so why not? I think he'll make it on the practice squad. We'll see what happens, though.
I have already written too many articles about Hercules to not be able to say I'm a fan. I can't hide behind that when I'm writing so many pieces about liking him.
Right. Maybe
Will Dog says the Vikings will win the division again. Moderately bold, I'll say.
Yeah, it depends on if Aaron Rodgers comes back on a wrecking path, which I would expect completely, but we'll see.
Or if Mitchell just wrecks shop.
Good old Mitchell Trubisky. Woo. No, I don't see that happening just yet. I think Chicago's going to be good defensively. I don't think that offense is going. You can't give away your leading receiver and expect to be making strides forward, but we'll see. I'm glad we had all these bold statements in the chat because I finally have one for you guys after a long wait, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Dalvin Cook's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. I'm going to call it right now.
I could definitely see that as possible.
Now, the reason this is significant to me,
unless Sam Bradford wins it,
or the likes of Mr. J.J. Watt, who didn't play, which I was talking earlier. Because
it's hard to beat J.J. Watt at anything.
Yeah, everybody's going to love him, and the Texans' defense is going to be good. But I think that he could turn some heads, and now that he's not a rookie anymore, this could be it.
And the bias towards offensive players could come in his favor. Yeah, I could like that.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about that. So there it is.
Because let's be honest, not a lot of defensive players win, MVP or comeback player of the year unless they have just amazing seasons.
True. It's very true.
Social media question of the week.
I got it right here, which not a lot of people jumped in on. I was very surprised. But we'll shout out the 4 that did. So I posted a picture of new Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins on the podcast page last week. And it was pretty simple. Over under 30 touchdowns this season for Kirk Cousins. Jaron says more. The guy had 27 touchdowns with the Redskins on a Super Bowl team like the Vikings. He will not be shocked if it's almost in the 40 range. God, I hope you're right, sir.
That would be hot.
If you're throwing 40 touchdowns, that means we're going all the places that I like. Dave Hickey says over. I hope 25 to 30 come in the Super Bowl. All right, cool.
30 touchdown Super Bowl game would be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm not a betting man, but if I knew that was going to happen, I'd bet on him.
Right.
Yeah. Craig Morley says over. He'll have 30 before the bye.
Ooh. Dang.
Ooh. You guys are high on Kirk Cousins right now.
They're loving it.
And Danny Yang says 34 touchdown passes next year. Very precise. So thank you.
I like that he went for a specific number.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like 34 is very reasonable, too. It's like it's hard to hate on that answer.
It is. And remember, the last time anyone came close to this was Brett Favre in 2009, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. I would like to see another similar season to that. That'd be pretty good. Those are the same kind of numbers Carson Wentz had last year. So,
Sergio Moreno in the chat says easily over 30 touchdowns. Habana says 30 is a minimum. Scott Schwab says Favre had 33, which you mentioned, and that is the last time it happened.
It is, which is sad because people like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning come in and throw 50 in a year and makes everybody look bad. But I think it's going to be a good mix for Kirk because he's going to have an established running game. You got to consider Dalvin Cook coming back to be 1, but Latavius Murray is very serviceable at running back number 2. Pretty decent O-line, great weapons in the offense, and then we had the number 1 defense last year. So I don't know how much and often he's going to have to throw, but when he has to, it's not going to be quite the struggle that it was for him all around back in Washington.
Yeah, I think Cousins has more talent around him than he had in Washington. I am expecting it to be over 30. That is where my bet would go. And I just see this offense coming together with him and these weapons and putting a lot of points on the board.
Yeah, it all depends too. And I know we talked about this before, but the closer and closer we get, the more I think about it. I don't even think it comes down to Kirk Cousins, and I don't mean this as a slight on Case Keenum whatsoever, but we had essentially, which is crazy to think now, 2 starters left the Vikings because there's 2 projected starters, 1 in Arizona and 1 for Denver. But it's not a slight on Case Keenum to say he's been pretty much a backup until then. Last year he proved he can start in the right place. I don't think it's on the quarterback. I think we have enough talent to make just about anybody rise up and make their level great. I think this all comes down to John DeFilippo. And it hasn't been talked about a lot, but I think that's going to be the big X factor this year is can he think up creative stuff? And the reason I get so excited about it is, yeah, I know he wasn't the offensive coordinator or even the head coach in Philly. I get that. But think about what happened. The same thing that's been happening to us, right? We have great quarterbacks on the team, and then they go down with an injury. He's a quarterback's coach for Philly. Carson Wentz has, in my opinion, the MVP season. I don't know why he didn't win because I think he still ended with the most touchdowns of the year. And then a backup quarterback comes in and just demolishes everyone in the playoffs and wins the Super Bowl against the Patriots of all teams. So the quarterback's coach of that team in that situation is coming. So
all right, so Kyle, with this offensive coordinator,
all right,
these weapons around him and everything. If you said that quarterbacks would come in, project for me if Nathan Peterman were the starting quarterback for the Vikings.
I'm gonna give him a Christian Ponder-like season. He's not gonna turn you any heads, but you'd be like, man, that guy had 15 touchdowns? Wow. Oh, he had 15 interceptions. Okay, that makes sense.
Nathan Peterman.
Yeah. You set me up for a hard one on that.
Because at first you're like, I think he'd be okay. And then you're like, wait a minute. No, maybe not.
Yeah, he would be the guy that would get you the same number of touchdowns as interceptions, which is, spoiler alert, not something you look for in a quarterback.
Not great. And we give Nathan Peterman a lot of crap here. And sadly, he's kind of deserved it lately. But I am still hoping that he can turn the ship around wherever he ends up. I know he's still in Buffalo, but...
Yeah, that ship is in a hurricane and taking on water fast, but I have faith in you, sir. You can turn anything around if you put your mind to it.
If you can dream it, you can do it, buddy.
We're motivational speakers here on the Purple People Podcast. We're here to give life advice. Any questions you have, shoot them our way.
Let's see. We got Cousins doesn't need to be great to win the MVP for the Vikings and make it to the Super Bowl. Let's see. Sergio Moreno says he doesn't need to be great, but he doesn't need to be great, but that would definitely be a huge compliment with our defense. And yes, it would. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that the Vikings have definitely been doing is turning around the team a little bit at a time. And it was the little pieces they got on defense that helped bring that to an elite level. The offense we've seen, I believe it was NFL.com that predicted the Vikings to have, was a top 5 or top 10 offense?
Top 10.
A top 10 offense?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, the pieces are falling into place for the Vikings to make a deep playoff run. And now we just got to see if everything comes together and that happens.
I got interrupted here by the star of the show. I'm recording, bro. You just gonna put your nose over there and just do
a little bit of loving, then move on.
Yeah.
But that's all actually I have for this week. I don't have anything else to give you guys.
This is crazy because I feel like I just looked at the screen and it was 37 after. Now it's 51. The time flies when we do the show. I really enjoy the show. Thank you, everyone, this week for interacting with us. We tried to do it a little bit earlier. I know it's almost 8 p.m. on the East Coast, but I don't know, a lot of people are in bed before then. So hopefully you get to catch the show. I'm glad that everyone interacted. Sorry there's not too much going on in Vikings world, but we'll try to give you every little nugget that we can and pass the time till minicamp and OTAs get here.
Yeah, we are one of the few Vikings podcasts that do regular weekly shows instead of just, chunks when something kind of bigger happens or, little pieces here and there. So we do appreciate you joining us, even when there's a week happening where not a lot's happening. And it's fun to interact with you guys, and it's great to be able to put a show out and talk Vikings football with everybody, even when the Vikings activity isn't at an all-time high. On that note, I do want to ask that you guys check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We don't have Instagram, do we?
No, but I can definitely make that happen. I'm on Instagram all the time.
Should we Instagram? And I don't think we should snap. I don't snap. I have people snap me, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's a social media question of the day. I'm going to put it up there. Should we start an Instagram page? Why not?
Hey, it'd be easy to distribute everything to Facebook and Twitter, so why not?
This is very true, and I'm on it all the time, so I would gladly take the reins for that.
I love it. Reach out to another little bit of audience, because I know a lot of people are moving away from Facebook or Twitter these days.
Yeah, and which is weird because it's all still the same information. It's just on which platter do you like it served to you. So
the more places we can reach people, the better, because like we always keep trying to do with our shows, find new places to host it, reach new audiences, new listeners, or even just to share it with other people or audiences. So if you guys like what you're watching, share it in your news feeds, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, like it, subscribe to it, whatever. We appreciate all of that. If you do, if you don't, that's okay too. Show up and listen. If you don't like our content, that's fine too. You can still interact with us on our Facebook page and talk football, or, we can talk about some other podcasts you like. We can do all that stuff.
We're just here to talk about Vikings football, have a good time. We like to put out a positive vibe and energy here. We're definitely cool with our listeners and definitely want to get them involved, but we're just here to make sure you have a good time when we talk about Vikings football.
Oh, absolutely. And I know I say this too often on these shows, but I'm already looking forward to that survival league. I kind of want to win it and keep all the prizes for myself. That's my plan.
We'll get more in depth in that as we get closer to the season, but we do a cool little tournament in the survival league. Adam's the big promoter for it. If you like fantasy football, it's along the same lines. You have to be very smart with just overall team matchups and who's going to win the overall game. But we do it here. Myself, Kyle West, and Adam Carlson here will put in a couple of our dollars to make sure we can give you guys cool prizes. And if you come out on top, then you get some free prizes just for listening to the show and playing along. So it's a pretty cool deal.
I got to admit, a couple of the prizes that we've given away have been a little too exceptionally nice, maybe.
Yeah, they've been pretty good.
A little too nice.
Good. I would have been very happy, and I'm not saying that for the bias because I'm on the show, because I didn't win it, and I don't have to say they're good, but they were great. They were very good.
Because I kept bringing stuff up to these guys as I was putting the box together. I'm like, should I throw this in there? And they're like, dude, that's more than enough. I'm not going to put it in anyway. But yeah, I hope to have all you guys join us for that, and as well as through the season. And Discord has updated their terms and conditions, and if you don't have a Discord, you should probably go apply or go sign up, because we're going to try to do the game day chats again, which we had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out and do as many avenues and platforms as we can, just so we can reach a lot of people. We want to gain a big following, and slowly but steadily we've gotten there, even for my short time being on the show.
I mean, I remember when we used to record this on Skype, and it would take us like 24 hours to get it up, and now we're going live with people interacting with us, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's actually one of the things I look forward to every week.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's all because of you guys.
Just like Will Dog, he says, this is what I look forward to every week, and guess what? We do too, man. We really do. On that note, I do want to thank everyone for joining us. We'll be back again next week with another episode. Who knows who will be here? Hopefully we'll have the entire squad in check, but if nothing, we'll always have a Purple People podcast for you. On behalf of Kyle Smith and I, I'd like to wish you all a happy week and stay classy, Minnesota.